Hello and welcome to Safe Pasture. My name is Sherry Hammers and we are continuing on in Andrew Murray's book, The Master's Indwelling. We are now on the chapter called Entrance into Rest and continuing on in that. And I'm just going to plunge in. If you've been tracking with this series, you'll see that we've been talking about waiting on God, really getting our mind set to go into the promised land in relationship with God. This is a game-changing book. I hope you're enjoying it as much as it's been a blessing in my life. So we start. He says, "Then comes the third word I want to speak to you, and that is, thank God that life is for me." Some say that he's talking about that life of entrance into the rest and talking about entering the promised land, Canaan. Some say, "I believe there is such a life, but not for me." There are people who continually say, "Oh, my character is so unstable. My will is naturally very weak. My temperament is nervous and excitable. It is impossible for me always to live without worry, resting in God." Beloved brother, do not say that. You say so only for one reason. You do not know what your God will do for you. Do begin to look away from self and to look up to God. Take that precious word. He brought them out that he might bring them in. The God who took them through the Red Sea was the God who took them through Jordan into Canaan. The God who converted you is the God who is able to give you every day this blessed life. Oh, begin to say with the beginnings of a feeble faith, even before you claim it. Begin even intellectually to say, "It is for me. I do believe that." God does not disinherit any of his children. What he gives is for everyone. I believe that blessed life is waiting for me. It is meant for me. God is waiting to bestow it and to work it in me. Glory be to his blessed name. My soul says it is for me too. Oh, take that little word "me" and looking up in the very face of God, dare to say, "This inestimable, there we go. It can't be estimated. This inestimable treasure is for me, the weakest and the unworthiest. It is for me." Have you said that? Say it now. This life is possible to me too. And then comes the next step, and that is, I can never by any effort of mine grasp it. It is God must bestow it on me. I want you to be very bold in saying, "It is for me." But then I want you to fall down very low and say, "I cannot seize it. I cannot take it to myself." And how can you then get it? Praise God, if once he has brought you down in the consciousness of utter helplessness and self-despair, then comes the time that he can draw nigh and ask you, will you trust your God to work this in you? Dearly beloved Christians, say in your heart, "I never by any effort can take hold of God or seize this for myself. It is God must give it." Cherish this blessed impotence. It is he who brought us out, who himself must bring us in. It is your greatest happiness to be impotent. Pray God by the Holy Spirit to reveal to you this true impotence, and that will open the way for your faith to say, "Lord, thou must do it or it will never be done." God will do it. And I just want to throw in here a previous video. I was talking about Andrew's book called Humility that I did a series on the channel. But humility means that you have nothing. You have no power. You have no strength. You got nothing. And so if you just go to total dependence on God and just surrender everything to him, then he will do it, just like he's saying here. People wonder when they hear so many sermons about faith and such earnest pleading to believe, and ask why it is they cannot believe. There is just one answer. I'm sure you know by now what it is. It is self. Self is working, is trying, is struggling, and self must fail. But when you come to the end of self and can only cry, "Lord, help me, Lord, help me," and then the deliverance is nigh, believe that. It was God brought the people in. It is God who will bring you in. One should be willing, for the sake of this rest, to give up everything. The grace of God is very free. It is given without money and without price. And yet, on the other hand, Jesus said that every man who wants the pearl of great price must sacrifice his all, must sell all that he has to buy that pearl. It is not enough to see the beauty, the attractiveness, and the glory, and almost to taste the gladness and the joy of this wonderful life as it has been set before you. You must become the possessor, the owner of the field. So it's not just enough to know that there's a treasure in a field somewhere. You need to have possession, like he said. The man who found the field with the treasure and the man who found the great pearl were both glad, but they had not yet got it. They found it, seen it, desired it, rejoiced in it, but they had not yet got it. Not until they went and sold all, gave up everything, and bought the ground, and bought the pearl. Ah, friends, there's a great deal that has to be given up. The world, its pleasures, its favor, its good opinion. Wow, I know I hate to be always picking on social media, but that is the world of social media in a nutshell. And not that there's not other things in the world besides social media, but if you're just sucked into social media, he's saying that's going to be given up. The world, its pleasures, its favor, its good opinion. Good opinion. That to me is social media in a nutshell. You are to stand to the world in the same relation as Jesus did. The world rejected him and cast him out, and you are to take up the position of your Lord, to whom you belong, and to follow with the rejected Christ. You have to give up everything. You have to give up all that is good in yourself. Ooh, that's a hit, isn't it? That one hurt. You mean all this good stuff that is inside of you, you have to give that up? Yeah, because Jesus said, apart from me, you can do nothing. He says you have to give up all that is good in yourself and to be humbled in the dust of death. And that is not all. Your past religious life and experience and successes, you have to give up all and become nothing, that God may have the glory. God has brought you out in conversion. It was God's own life given you, but you have defiled it with disobedience and with unbelief. Give it all up. Give up all your own wisdom and your own thoughts about God's work. How hard it is for the minister of the gospel to give up all his wisdom and to lay it at the feet of Jesus, to become a fool and to say, Lord, I know nothing as I should know it. I have been preaching the gospel, and how little I have seen of the glory of the blessed land and the blessed life. Why is it that the blessed Spirit cannot teach us more effectually? No reason but this: the wisdom of man prevents it. The wisdom of man prevents the light of God from shining in. And so we could say of other things, give up all. Some may have an individual sin to give up. There may be a Christian man who is angry with his brother. There may be a Christian woman who has quarreled with her neighbor. There may be friends who are not living as they should. There may be Christians holding fast some little doubtful thing, not willing to surrender and leave behind the whole of the wilderness. Leave behind the whole of the wilderness life and lust. Oh, do take this step and say, I am ready to give up everything to have this pearl of great price. My time, my attention, my business, I count all subordinate to this rest of God as the first thing in my life. I yield all to walk in perfect fellowship with God. You cannot get that and live every day in perfect fellowship with God without giving time to it. So you have to even give up time to God. You take time for everything. How many hours a day has a young lady spent for years and years that she may become proficient on the piano? How many years does a young man study to fit himself for the profession of law or medicine? Hours and days and weeks and months and years gladly given up to perfect himself for his profession. And do you expect that religion is so cheap that without giving time you can find close fellowship with God? You cannot. But oh, my brothers and sisters, the pearl of great price is worth everything. God is worth everything. Christ is worth everything. Oh, come today and say, Lord, at any cost, help me. I do want to live this life. And if you find it difficult to say this, and if there is a struggle within the heart, never mind. Say to God, Lord, I thought I was willing, but I see how much unwillingness there is. Come and discover what the evil is still in the heart. By His grace, if you will lie at His feet and trust Him, you may depend upon it. Deliverance will come. Well, I'm going to stop on this chapter at that point today. I hope this is really blessing your life and really sharpening your focus on God. Before I leave, though, I want to leave you with this. I'm not sure when this video will come out, if it'll come out in time, but I just wanted to let you know I'm going to have a link in the description for the Sound of Freedom movie that is about eradicating child sex trafficking from our world. It's a story of Tim Ballard, who used to be a Homeland Security officer that was rounding up pedophiles, but God led him to start rescuing children. And in that link, you will see the crowdfunding opportunity. Jim Caviezel, who plays Tim Ballard, will be talking about the importance of having people filling up the theater. They've been battling for 5 years to even get this movie to the theaters, and they really want every seat filled in the theaters so that this really gets the attention of everyone, because like he said, every teenager, every adult needs to see this movie and be aware of what's going on and what they can do. So I hope you will seek the Lord about what He wants you to do, and look forward to seeing you next time. God bless.